Oh, this is not what I had planned for today. So how do you navigate a business when yourself and the world, mostly your government, but the world in general, is just crumbling? I was gonna have a chill sit down video that was gonna be edited in with me making some storage boxes for my office. I might do that later, just so I'm not a talking head. But I ain't got time for that right now. These are curtains that you will probably see at some point. Did I finish? No, I didn't finish this. Dagnabbit. Let's just go in order of things that have happened or are happening. I have made the decision to shift my YouTube channel over to sewing and showing the process of my business from like the business owner angle, not from a separate Etsy guru, whatever type of angle. My business does not involve making curtains. My business is focused on reusable products, and I'm kind of sort of moving over into upcycled things. So reusable products made with new materials and upcycled products made with obviously old or secondhand materials. And the supplier that I have used the most for that is Joann. And if you haven't been living under a rock, if you're in the sewing and crafting space, or know somebody who is that Joann's is going under, or probably going to be under by the time I get this video edited and posted. Let me just interject in here real quick. So today is Wednesday. I don't know what the actual date is. I'll put it on the screen. It's been a little while since I filmed the rest of this video. We're supposed to know by the end of this week if someone placed a winning bid or not, because yesterday was the last day to place a bid for people or companies that wanted to buy Joann. And last week they announced that they were closing 500 plus of their stores. I'm sure you heard about that. And as I'll say again later on in the video, I don't anticipate the rest of them actually staying open, depending on who buys it, because if Gordon Brothers wins the bid, then they're going to close them all. But if it's someone else, there's a chance. However, so I'll get back to the liquidation and stuff in a second, but last night I saw that I can no longer place orders on Joann's online. Everything is out of stock. I was poking around, seeing like if it's just fabric and they're not going to cut things anymore, because you can order a minimum of 2 yards for fabric, but every fabric I saw was out of stock. The only thing, I looked at some thread and a bunch of other stuff. Nothing was available to order except for one. I just went to the yarn section and clicked on a random yarn, and there were a few colors that you could order, but that's the only thing I saw. I didn't poke around too long. So before I explain that, let me just say, if you're here for nothing else and you're going to leave after talking about Joann's, hear me out, because while I and thousands of other businesses across the country and millions of consumers like hobbyists and crafters and people that make stuff for fun, this is a massive impact to all of our lives, because for a lot of people, Joann is pretty much their only place to get materials. Will my business suffer because of this? Yes. My customers will have to pay higher prices because I cannot get the materials at the prices that Joann was selling them at. The same goes for other businesses who sell the same thing as I do, and other things that where they get most of their material from Joann, like people that host craft classes and things that get their supplies from there. But we have alternatives, okay? Most people are going to be able to figure this out. I think small businesses, if we're smart, we can survive it. But for the hobbyists and the general crafters, people that make things once in a while for Christmas gifts, whatever, they're the ones that are being the loudest about this, okay? Because business owners have our heads down trying to figure out what we're going to do. And I know that Joann means a lot for a lot of us, because I personally bought the material that I used to make my wedding dress from Joann. I've seen videos of other people saying the same thing. They're going to the stores and finding the exact fabric and showing a picture of what they made with it. But I'm seeing on Reddit and other places that employees are saying that people are calling the stores incessantly, just whining, like just complaining or having a pity party. Cry me a river, because there are thousands of people that are now out of jobs in the winter and with a horrible job market. So I don't want to hear it. And neither do they. So please don't call the store. Most of them, I have heard, have disconnected the phones. If you are a current or former employee of Joann, thank you. I appreciate you. And hopefully what I'm about to say is going to help at least a little bit. If one person watches this and knows what's going on, hopefully that helps somebody. So this information is current as of today. The situation is changing frequently. It's probably going to be changing by the end of the week. I'm talking about the 500 plus stores that are in liquidation status. And please don't ask me what those stores are. There are lists online. You can literally look up, go on Joann.com, And if your store says liquidation location on it, it's one of them, okay? The deal is that those 500 stores-ish, 500-ish, I don't know exactly how many, it doesn't matter. But the liquidated stores are owned by Gordon Brothers. I read the pretty much entire legal document where Joann requested to liquidate those stores because they said they had some bids, then they didn't want underperforming stores to be part of it, so that was kind of a smart move, I guess. Although the ones that I've seen that I've personally been to, which is quite a few, like dozens of Joann's that I've been to, a lot of them seem to be pretty high performing, so maybe they had high rent, I don't know for sure, but that's not the point. Those stores are no longer owned by Joann Incorporated. Or Incorporated? They're no longer owned by Joann, okay? They're owned by the Gordon Brothers, and their whole thing is to buy stores that are going to go out of business and liquidate their assets. That's it. That's all they do. They're not interested in keeping it running, so Gordon Brothers owns those 500 plus stores. So they are not beholden to the way Joann does things because it's a different company. Those stores are not accepting Joann coupons, they're not doing any other kind of discounts, and they are starting off at 20% off of the entire stock. And they don't have to follow Joann's weekly ad or sales or anything like that. So that's why if you see something online is like 40 or 50% off, but in the store it's only 20% because of liquidation, that's why. It's a different company. Those stores might as well not even say Joann on the front anymore, basically. And then how liquidation sales work, they will do like 10-20% off something low. People buy all the good stuff, and then once that slows down for a little while, then they'll bump it up to like 30%, and then so on and so forth until there's nothing left but crumbs. And then they'll sell the fixtures and all of the things inside of the store, and then it's done. And my speculation is that that's also why you cannot order online. For the last several years, according to many employees of Joann on Reddit, online orders come from stores. That's why if you've ordered a large quantity of fabric from there, you're probably going to get several different packages of the same thing in smaller cuts. Like a long time ago, I would order 32 or 40 yards of something and get a giant box full of bolts. But that's not the case anymore. It hasn't happened in a while. I might get like 2 or 3 bolts, but because those stores are no longer owned by Joann, they cannot take their online orders. So if you could place orders online, they would have to route all of those to the stores that are still technically open normally and not being liquidated, which is a small amount. And those stores are probably also inundated with people thinking that they're liquidating, but they're not, at least not yet. So if you're like me and ordered most of your supplies from Joann online, yeah, it's done. Like, that ship has sailed, and I don't think it's coming back. And the misinformation about why Joann closed in the first place, it's not because people weren't buying stuff. It's because they just couldn't manage their money. And they also had supply chain issues. And they went private, sold to a private equity firm. And if you know anything about business, you know that private equity firms kill businesses. So yeah, if you ever are in a situation where you're the CEO of a company and you're like, well, can we do this? Or can we sell to a private equity firm? Do anything but sell to the private equity firm. And it's not because of millennials, okay? We are not to blame for this one. We might have killed taxis and top sheets and whatever else, other industries, but this was not us. Millennials sew and craft en masse. I don't understand why people seem to think that we don't, but we do. I'm glad we got this out of the way. Back to the rest of the video. I've heard rumors that there's somebody out there that's kind of like lurking, waiting to buy them out and help keep the employees keep their jobs and stuff, but I just don't. Like, they fumbled it way too many times for me to have faith in them at this point to turn things around. I get 90% of my materials for the products that I sell from Joann, because my best sellers are the things that I make with that specific material. Now obviously this is a big problem, like a bigger problem than the impending tariffs, which are on again, off again. I don't even know, like, if you're outside of the US, none of us in the US know what's going on with the tariffs either. It's just a mess, and I'm afraid to order anything even from countries that are not the targeted, like China, Canada, and Mexico, because I am afraid that customs is backed up and things are going to take forever or get lost. It's like, if I had to pay 25% tariff, fine, and no, tariffs are not charged to the country that's sending them, they are charged to the end consumer. So we're paying more for the products that we're forced to buy from out of the country, overseas manufacturers, because nobody can produce here. But then we don't have more money to buy the expensive things. So like they're robbing from us to help us. And then we've been pointing fingers at China for God knows how long for stealing Americans' information. When, you know, there's someone actively stealing Americans' information right now in Washington. Right now. A non-elected official getting access to the information of every single American for their own private business interest. And it's just happening. It's just happening. They're just letting them walk into these places and take the stuff. Like, so Joann's right. If I had to pay 25% tariff, that would probably be fine. If that's, you know, how things are going to happen and the prices go up a little bit, I mean, the prices of everything else have gone up, sure, why not? One more thing, right? Although, actually, this specific material does not come from China. I'm pretty sure most of the bolts I get say made in Pakistan. What the hell did it say? They don't even say where it's made. What the frick? Oh, yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. I can't read. Yeah, they're from Pakistan. So the prices of those shouldn't go up if the tariff thing gets sorted, because it's like, we're doing it, then we're not, then we're doing it, then we're not. But if Joann shuts down, there is absolutely no close alternative for this product. And I've talked to other businesses that sell pretty much the exact same thing as me. They are scared, as am I, obviously, because there is no alternative. I personally have searched for the last 5 years, because when I went full-time with this in 2020, I was like, maybe I shouldn't put my eggs in one basket, because like that was when everybody was buying up all the fabric to make masks, as was I. It was like, what happens to Joann? Because like I wasn't able to get some regular quilt cotton, not even this flannel. But I was like, what happens if I can't get this? Because like all throughout 2020 and 2021, it was difficult to get things back in stock, so I could order some fabric and then they would never get it again, or maybe they would get it again like a year or two later. I can deal with, you know, having like prints be limited edition, that's fine. I would like to know ahead of time if they're limited edition and I can't get any more of them, but I can work with it. It's just going to be sold out. I have only done pre-orders like one time, because I knew that there was a very, very low possibility that I would get the same print again. And the only time I did a pre-order was when I actually had the material. I just hadn't made them yet, but I had a video that was like kind of going viral and I didn't want to lose the momentum. So I changed the listing to pre-order because I had the material, I just hadn't made the things yet. And it would take a few more days to ship than usual. But Joann, why their flannels specifically? My family and people I know have given me suggestions for alternatives, and there is just none. I promise. I have searched high and low. I have contacted manufacturers, I've contacted distributors, I've contacted wholesalers, retail stores, anyone that I could find that has any connection to cotton flannel fabric. I have talked to them. Nothing. It's not as simple as somebody doing a Google search and giving me alternatives, because I guarantee I have looked at them. Unless you know some distributor that like doesn't speak English and doesn't operate usually in the United States, that could maybe slide me some, you know, that kind of situation where my research is limited to the US, you know what I'm saying? Because I found who I am pretty sure, actually I honestly can't remember the name of the place now, but I'm pretty sure who actually manufactures Joann's flannel, and they require at least 1,000 yards per print. And I will need, like my projection is this year in total, I will need about 1,000 yards total of different prints. So 1,000 of each is way too much. It's going to cost a lot of money up front. I don't have, this room is all I have. I don't have space to store pallets of material, so that's not going to happen. I've had the suggestion to do like a cost share kind of thing, but again, where am I going to do that? I would have to rent a warehouse. That's very expensive. not going to happen. There are a few places where I can get some flannel, yes. I'm not going to be completely lost or like just SOL with flannel in general. I can get solid colors just fine. I can get a few prints, although the vast majority of prints that I find are nursery prints, which is like for babies. And my customer generally does not have children or babies. Like, I have made the cloth wipes and stuff. I do still sell them, but they haven't sold well. I feel like my target customer is more towards like older than would have a small child for the nursery stuff, you know what I mean? Joann's, at any given time, they have at least 1,000 different prints of flannel listed on their website. You might be able to order 700-800 of them that are in stock at any given time to order online. And stores have a varying selection, so I've been to 3 different stores over the past week. My local one is very, very small. They don't have very much. And the other 2 that I went to are very large. One of them had quite a bit. The other one had like 2 or 3 aisles, but the aisles were pretty sparse. They weren't, I'm used to the flannel being jam-packed in the shelves, and there were empty shelves. Now, I am waiting for this to go away at any moment, but Joann has a program called Joann Plus where you can get stuff in bulk quantities. So fabric, usually you have to order about 4 bolts of it to get a bulk quantity. So their flannel, the sticker price is $9.99. I have never ever in my days of making stuff seen it full price for $9.99. Right now it's like $6.99 in the store, and then $5.99 online or something like that, and then you can get like 10% off if you buy a whole bolt online. I wish they had done that in the store. I didn't know that until I was checking out one day, because normally when I order flannel from there, I order online in the bulk quantity, and I can get it, like, I have seen it as low as $2.42 a yard, but generally I can get it for like $2.50 something a yard, and then they'll have doorbuster deals where it's all, no matter what quantity you order, is $2.99 a yard. So I have bought some at $5.99 a yard recently, and it's really hurting the wallet, because that is like twice as much as I would usually pay for it, and that's going to be eating into my profit margin. But I have booked a few craft shows in May, and if I don't have stock for them, I am kind of screwed, so I need something. But nobody has the selection, nobody has even 100 different prints to choose from, let alone like 700-800. And nobody has the pricing of Joann. So I found one place that was kind of close, and I sent them like a Hail Mary email, basically letting them know about the Joann's thing with flannel specifically, and how many other businesses like mine were going to need hundreds and thousands of yards for their material, and they have not answered me. So but if I order like a ton through them, it's a pretty close in price. Not great, but close. But they don't have very many prints at a time, and it's all dead stock, so that means that they will probably not get any more of any given print. Then someone sent me today a link to a place that does fabric printing, kind of like Spoonflower, how you order the print and then they print it like right then on whatever material that you choose. And this one is the only one that I've seen that has flannel. Spoonflower does not have flannel, but if Spoonflower did have flannel, even their plain quilt cotton is like $17-18 a yard. Might be less than that now. They've lowered the price just a tiny bit over the years, but flannel would probably be like $20-some a yard, which compared to $3 a yard, hard pass. But even this other place, it was like minimum $12 a yard if I order a lot of it, so that's still not gonna work. Because I've hit that sweet spot with my pricing that people are okay with it. I get a little pushback of it being too expensive, but not much. In relation to other people saying that people say their stuff is too expensive, I get relatively little. But it was higher a few years ago, and I lowered it like $2, and it's selling a lot better now, so I'm trying to keep it there. This sucks for me as an environmentalist, because I've prided myself on my business being like mostly 99.9% zero waste. Like, I try not to waste any material at all, and I design things so that I can cut them out of the fabric with as least waste as possible. And I've switched everything that I possibly can at this point that's feasible for me to do over to a more sustainable alternative. The biggest thing that I switched was the thread that I use for the non-paper towels and everything like that. Like, here's a spool of it. This is like halfway gone. Probably they're usually bigger than this. I used to use polyester thread because that was all that I had available. That's all thread you can get like this like at Joann's, for example. They had it in bulk and I could get a bit of a discount, or when it was on sale, I would stock up on them. In 2022, I think, I found a supplier that sells cellulose thread. So, like, technically cotton is cellulose, but cotton thread, I'm going to go on a tangent here because this is my special interest. I'm sorry, not sorry. So cotton fibers are biodegradable, but they are very short, so they are not as strong, and they can't really hold up in an industrial sewing machine. I still use them for some things, but it's kind of a pain because if I do too much or sew really, really fast, like I tend to do, like pedal to the metal, or if I backstitch too many times, it'll just break and I have to reset over and over again. And it also creates a lot of lint build up in the machine because, again, those fibers are really short. Polyester doesn't have as much of a problem as that. Polyester has a little bit of stretch to it. And actually, polyester is, in terms of production, more eco-friendly than cotton because it takes less water, but it's not biodegradable. So there is a happy medium that I have found in cellulose thread. There is exactly one company in the world that makes this thread, okay? Again, as with my search for an alternative to Joann's, if I'm being geo-restricted, finding these companies that would make this. But as far as I know, there's only one that makes cellulose into thread like this, the tensile cellulose, which is a wood pulp fiber. And this company operates in a few different places, like they're based in Portugal, and they also operate in Tunisia and Turkey and France, maybe. But the only supplier that I have found in my English-speaking corner of the internet is in the UK. And now I've worked with them for years. They are lovely people. They always help out. But they're the only place that sells this stuff. And they're like, hey, like, we don't sell that much of it, so we can't stock your special colors. You know, we only pretty much carry white, black, and natural because it doesn't sell very well for us. I was like, okay, that makes sense. I understand. But the thing is, this thread costs a lot of money. A spool about this size, like 3,000 meters. This one came with 5,000 meters. The ones I was using at Joann, the polyester ones, were like, I can get them at Joann's or WowWack for about $3, give or take. This tensile cellulose, even though it's 5,000 meters, a little bit more on the spool than, let me show you a full one. So I think this one is full. I'm not sure, I might have used some of it, but it's usually bigger than this. But this is about the size that the other ones are. Because of the exchange rate for pounds to dollars, and the shipping from the UK, it ends up being about $18 per 5,000 meter spool of this thread. I'm trying to think how I calculate this as one spool does 30 packs, but I use 3 spools at a time. So basically it costs $18 to make 30 packs of non-paper towels. Just with the thread though, that's not including the fabric. So I am willing to pay that cost as long as the fabric price stays relatively the same. And my customers appreciate that they are made with completely biodegradable materials, because polyester is not biodegradable. So to get this color though, I have to order 30 spools at a time because they have to custom dye it. And am I really going to feasibly find someone else who wants this exact color and like split an order with them? I think I last ordered like a year ago. I last ordered before we moved here, and that was in April. So this lasted me about a year, give or take, probably less than a year. So really it's not that bad. Like, I can order 30 at a time. It's just, like, if the price is going up on my fabric, can I afford to keep doing this? So, like, this thread is really good. I have never had a problem with it tangling or breaking or anything. I have used some of it in a thicker weight to sew just regularly, not with the serger. I would like it in every color, but again, they don't carry every color of it normally. And literally nobody else carries this. I have looked at other UK distributors. I have looked for like fabric stores and haberdasheries in the UK. Nobody else has it either. If you search on Etsy, the shop that I get it from is the one that comes up because they sell on Etsy also. And there's just like, there's no alternative for that either. So the thing is, I can order the natural from them, but like, this is my branding, is the purple thread on the things. And I have these two and then like a partial one there and then 2 more full ones over there, and that's it of this color. And I have things that are like halfway, and I'll have to redo all the photos if I change the color. Because I've had to spend so much money trying to get more fabric, I have all but depleted my materials budget from my market sales last year. Now that I'm here with the sustainability of these all being biodegradable, also like cotton, cotton thread, you can't really get like this in large quantities, and it's not cheaper for some reason than cellulose. Like even from an American company, like Wawak might have some cotton like this, but it is about the same price, and they don't have this kind of color. This is a difficult decision because I don't want to walk back on that and start using polyester again unless something happens and I can't get any color of this at all. I'm just like, cotton is probably my next best alternative, but I don't feel comfortable doing that, walking back on this particular thing, because the sustainability aspect is really important to me. I think a lot of the problems here will be solved by me making more sales and having more capital to invest in other materials, but also that I would sell more and it'd be a little more urgent for me to figure this out. So I just feel weird posting, like trying to sell things, even though my product seems a little bit different than like a want kind of category, because my stuff it's useful and you could save money in the future on like paper towels and other disposable things, but it costs up front. So I don't know, it's just a weird place to be in, and I know like nobody's gonna blame me for doing that, but I just don't know. And that's partially why I'm trying to transition this channel over into like how I make things for myself, so that way I can have some revenue from like the AdSense versus just relying on the sales from my business. And maybe other people that want to start sewing or want to like fix their own clothes and stuff can learn something. But then at the same time, that got interrupted as well because I have developed an allergy on my hands. Now if you're watching me on a television, you might have been able to see it because my hands have been up, but yeah, my hands don't look great, and I really don't want to make any sewing videos with them looking like this, and I have no idea how long they're going to look like this. But I had an allergic reaction to overexposure of certain chemicals that are in gel nail polish. A very, very, very long story, but I went to the dermatologist yesterday and confirmed that's what it was, although I didn't think it could really be anything else. But I haven't been able to sew for about 2 weeks now because of this, like the pain, and like I can't use my natural fingernails, which are still there, thankfully, because some people that have had this happen to them lose their fingernails. I'm just, it's not contagious or like anything like that. It's just my skin is angry, and I am also angry because I can't do anything. Buttoning my pants or getting clothes out of the hamper to put in the washing machine, doing dishes, like every aspect of my life has been affected by this somehow. Especially my business, because I can't sew if I can't really use my fingertips. The thumb and index finger on my left hand, which is my non-dominant hand, I've been spared. They look relatively okay, but the right hand, not so much. But I still want to show it on camera and, you know, like have to explain every single time what happened to my fingers, because it's pretty obvious there's something wrong. And part of the process of making my non-paper towels is tying knots in the end of it so the thread doesn't unravel. Well, it's kind of hard to do if you can't use your fingertips. I am just kind of stuck. I have been working on my taxes of all things because, you know, I have no more excuses now. If I can't sew, make things, I might as well just sit at the computer. But even using the mouse with my right hand is not great. But let's talk about some more fun things and not doom and gloom and pain. I just booked my first 2 craft shows of the year. They're going to be in May. I might be able to get into some before then. I just haven't found them or applied for them really. I've just reapplied to the few that I did last year, and they accepted me into 2 of the 4 that they're having, and I'll be on the wait list for the other ones. Then we have our first military ball in April, so I will try to film, if my hands allow it, the alteration of that dress. So that'll be my project for March. And then as far as the rest of February, I really need to get these curtains done because they're taking up a lot of room in my office, and I am tired of having blankets hung up in the windows. But I feel like this is my small contribution, number one, from like giving back to the sewing community, and also helping the next generation or like the next wave of people learning to do stuff themselves, because clothes, especially with the tariffs, are not going to get any cheaper. Which, like, I hope that they're not going to get cheaper. Let's just say that. I hope clothes get more expensive for many reasons, but the fast fashion aspect, and even if we bring clothing manufacturing back to the United States, again, sorry, this is a special interest. There's no possible way that we can continue with the prices that clothing has been at, even at large scale retailers, let alone like your Shein and Fashion Nova and all that other. But like if that's all you can afford, that's fine. Ordering a few things that you need, fine. Please do that if that's all you can afford. But all these hauls of people buying trash bags full of shit from Shein, like, no, stop that. That is the problem. It's not you buying a t-shirt because yours got a hole in it, you know? Or like if nobody near you has your size, like that's cool if you order it online because you have to. You get what I'm saying? I'm not talking to you if you need it for necessity. I'm talking about overbuying. I'm really tired of going to the thrift store expecting good stuff and finding Shein. How many times I've been just catfished by corduroy that I think is actually vintage 70s, but it is freaking Shein. Like I'm probably wearing two of the best thrifted pieces that I own. This sweater that is partly wool from the fashion place at Sears, which has been out of business for a long time. I actually repaired a hole in right here. You probably can't see it, but it's there. I can put a picture up. And my newest find are these pants. These are Levi 501s, men's size 26-30. I have never in my life seen a pair of men's pants made in a size 26. That is my size, especially not at the thrift store, so I was very happy to find these. They fit perfectly. I didn't need to alter them at all. They have the button fly, which is my preferred pant closure. And don't be afraid to wear men's pants if you're not a men's pants body style, because they've got, like, if you got junk in the trunk, they got room for junk in the front, so it just works out, you know. My only thing is the knee holes are not in the right location because I wear my pants up here. A man would probably wear theirs down here, which I used to do, but that's not comfortable for me anymore because that would they would hang down too far and be hard to walk. So it's fine if the knee holes are like above my knees. I also could patch them if I wanted to. I know how to do that. But so many clothes get donated because of a simple hole like that. Like that's probably why the person donated this sweater in the first place, because there was a hole in the armpit. And also to get through my ever-growing piles and shelves and closets full of unfinished projects. Like all of this fabric you see here, except for this very top shelf, I can't even see my hand because it's the same color as that wood. This very top shelf here, and then the very top shelf in the middle, which is kind of a bigger shelf. Aside from that, pretty much all of that is personal stash. Yeah, but most of that is not like business stock, and it probably should be. Like I should have that space for that, but I don't. And then half of my closet is my thrift flip pile that I either need to fit for myself or like repair and resell. So I'm thinking like every other video, or maybe like 2 videos a month or so, I will do a thrift flip or personal project of some sort just to try to get through that stuff. But if you feel so inclined to support my work, I do on my website, my business, cruelty-free have stickers for sale. Unless you're interested in the other things that I sell, then maybe you want to check those out. But if you don't really need like reusables, or don't want to spend like that much, I do have stickers for sale, and I believe they have free shipping on them. They should, but they are completely eco-friendly stickers. They're biodegradable. Even the backing paper does not have silicone on it, so they are good for like a notebook or something. But probably don't put them on your tumbler or your car because they're not waterproof. That's the trade-off for getting them to be biodegradable. I'll have that linked below. This is probably the most efficient video that I've ever filmed. It's only been like an hour, and I haven't done a script or done anything, and I am on track. Through the power of Adderall and Spite, I can do anything. So hopefully you are doing okay considering the circumstances. And I will see you in the next one, hopefully with less angry fingers. Goodbye.